Hello and welcome back to the Elite Takeover Podcast. I am your host, Aidan, and I am joined today by...
Raph.
As always. And today we will be talking about Hell in a Cell. Now, before we get started with the Hell in a Cell podcast, let's go through the plugs quickly. Make sure to follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at Elite Takeover YT, where I tweet out the thoughts while things are going on, if you're interested. And we'll also be able to tell you whenever this is going live. Give us a subscribe on YouTube. Give us a like. Leave a comment. We're on all major podcast apps, so give us a 5-star review and download and subscribe to the podcast. It really helps with the growth of what we're doing. But enough of the boring stuff. What were your general views on Hell in a Cell tonight?
I loved it. I really, really, really liked it. I was very happy. Obviously, there's always things that you're not going to be happy about, and we will talk about them. But in general, I think it was a really good Hell in a Cell match, especially comparing to the other years that passed.
Yeah, overall, I think this was a good card. I think it was held up by the two amazing matches on it. And then everything else was kind of either between bad to all right. Bad to good, I should say. I shouldn't say the main event wasn't all right. The main event was good. It just wasn't necessarily my cup of tea. But yeah, held up really much by those two. The two other Hell in a Cell matches that were really amazing. And yeah, overall, I think it was a good night. But let's get things started with the pre-show. Not much to talk about on the pre-show tonight. We've got a quick match between Drew Gulak and R-Truth.
Which we both lost on our predictions that we did just before the match started. We both
thought Gulak would win. They would do the thing where Truth gets it back during the pay-per-view somewhere.
Yeah.
Like they usually do. But no, Truth just won. Quite funny at the beginning of the match.
Yeah.
Drew Gulak starts talking to little Jimmy. Brings little Jimmy over, gives him a little high five. A big high five sequence, and then kicks him straight in the balls. I like to imagine it was the balls.
Yes.
He probably just kicked him in the face.
Yeah.
R-Truth gets very mad. He's not happy about this in the slightest.
So upset.
Yes, as you'd expect.
Yeah.
He wasn't even happy that little Jimmy was talking to Drew Gulak.
Yes, exactly.
Come on, little Jimmy, you shouldn't talk to strangers, don't you know by now? Gulak gets in a lot of submission-y stuff. Typical Drew Gulak stuff. He deserves to be a bit better in the card, be higher in the card, really. Like, he's never going to be like enough a mid-carder or anything.
Yeah.
But he deserves a little better than the 24/7 scene, but he's good at the comedy stuff.
Yeah, he is.
He's very good at the comedy stuff. So maybe one day he'll get something else. Truth rolls up Gulak for the win. Gulak does a roll-up. Truth rolls through it to another roll-up, and he gets the win, keeping his 24/7 title. And post-match, the usual gang run in to go and chase off R-Truth. And Gulak stops at the pre-show desk to say that John Cena sucks. Yeah, just typical stuff, wasn't it?
Hey, R-Truth, just to tell you, your childhood
hero sucks. Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's silly. It's fun stuff.
Yeah,
nothing particularly special. There's probably something else you could have put on the pre-show, but
it's fine.
Whatever. I don't mind. It was fun. The only other thing of substance that happened on the pre-show was a quick promo from Retribution from Ali, where essentially he challenges. Did he do that then, or did he do it later in the show?
No, he did it later in the show.
No, I think he did it on the pre-show.
Oh yes, he did. He did
do it on the pre-show. I was like, I don't really note about it anywhere else.
Yeah, no, he did.
Yeah, on the pre-show where he calls out the Hurt Business saying, sure, yeah, we lost, whatever, it's all right, basically. Calls out the Hurt Business, says that they're just like WWE and they're money-thirsty people and all they care about is making a profit and all this kind of stuff. Like, it was good for Molly, pretty standard. It wasn't as good as his promo the other week, but it was still good. Not as much heat behind it. But also, honestly, if I was Ali, I wouldn't necessarily be overly thrilled. It's not that this has gone too well for them so far.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe backstage he thought this was going to be more of a thing, and now he's kind of realised it's not. But yeah, he challenges a member of the Hurt Business to a match later tonight against any member of Retribution. It's up to the Hurt Business who they want to face. And that's it for the pre-show. We're now on to the main card, and we start things off with a Hell in a Cell match. We start things off with the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns, going up against Jey Uso. What a match.
What a match.
What a match. And it showed, this match.
So good.
Very similar to the Clash of Champions match. But not in terms of the flow of the match, but in terms of how you can really make a story stand out from very basic wrestling.
And very basic words as well. Like, they didn't speak like... They spoke, but they didn't, like, talk too much, like, create a whole story with their own words. It was like... Yeah, it was so good.
It was a beautiful match. It was a really good match. I think it's better than Clash of Champions.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I think it was better. We start off when Jay's coming down to the ring. You can just... He takes in the view of the cell.
Yeah.
And you can see, like, all the emotion on his face. He really shows it when he's coming down, looking at Hell in a Cell and everything that's about to go down.
Yeah.
And what's going ahead of him, what all this means, whether he could lose his family, and yeah. Roman Reigns comes out with a Thanos glove. It was just gold. It looked a bit like Thanos. I don't know. Probably it wasn't really, but it was a bit like Thanos-y. Yeah, pretty much. Most of this match was very similar to Clash Champions, where Roman would be on the offense most of the time, but then Jay would get in slight bits. He got in a lot more than he did at Clash of Champions.
Than the other one, yeah.
He got in a lot more. Roman in control early in the match. Jay managing to get back, do some dives to both sides of the cell. But Roman Reigns manages to catch him with a spear out of nowhere inside the ring. Of course, Jay doesn't quit. One of the main things in this match is Jay won't quit, no matter what.
At all.
Jay has the spirit that he's not going to quit.
Yeah.
He doesn't care what Roman does to him. He's not going to quit. He's not going to do this. Because, of course, this isn't just Jay Uso on the line. It's Jay, it's Jimmy, it's their families.
Some of their families.
But he's not going to quit. Roman telling Jay that he needs to just give up. He'll regret this if he doesn't. If he's in there for another 5 minutes, he's going to regret this so much. Mm-hmm. Roman goes and gets a chair, but Jay drop kicks out of the way. Roman back in the ring for another huge spear, and this spear was a nasty spear.
It was a really good one, really good one.
Brutal spear. Roman again pauses, saying he doesn't want to do this. He isn't the bad guy, but I will end you if I have to. He will do it. I will end you. He goes to the spear once more because Jay still hasn't quit. Jay managed to get the knee to the face into a super kick, hitting the Uso splash. Obviously, nothing from Roman Reigns. He just says the head of the table never quits.
Yeah,
that's all he says. He isn't going to quit, and neither's Jay. Jay goes and gets the strap from under the ring, and this becomes a strap match. Yes. An I Quit strap match inside Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Like, we'll pause for 1 second. Like, I saw people saying online that maybe this didn't need to be a Hell in a Cell match.
Oh no.
I think Hell in a Cell added quite a lot to this.
Yes.
I know obviously this could have just been a straight I Quit match. Yeah, it could have. But I think the Hell in a Cell added to this, and then when everyone... Because like with Jimmy coming into the Hell in a Cell and stuff, I think that added to the match.
Yeah, exactly. I think so as well. Like, I really liked the visual of it. And
the fact that people... I know obviously once all the refs came in later in the match and the agents, but like up until that... But that could have happened like way earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
If it was just a regular match, if there wasn't inside the cage. I think the cage added a lot.
But because the cage was locked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the highest stakes. This is the highest stakes on the card.
Yeah.
By a mile. But yeah. Jay goes and gets the leather strap, starts whipping Reigns, but Reigns gets to his feet while being whipped. It's not going to stop him. It's not going to take him down. Reigns hits the spear again on Jay. And Jay again still doesn't quit. He won't quip out. He won't quip out. He won't quip out. Roman goes and gets the strap, ties it to Jay's hand, starts whipping on Jay, whipping down and then whipping and whipping and whipping. Roman puts it around his own wrist. Jay manages to... I think Jay hit a knee to his face. Let me just try and find
because they were pulling both on the strap.
Yes.
And that meant that Roman Reigns pulled Jay over to him, and that's why Jay managed to get
he managed to get the reverse. And then he wrapped the strap all around the throat of Roman Reigns.
It actually did look really bad.
Really painful. I wouldn't want to have been Roman then.
No.
That was not a nice thing. But Roman, he starts to faint. He starts to lose consciousness.
Yeah.
But when he's about to lose, he opens his eyes and he's straight back into it, and he's not giving up. Happens again. Same thing again. He will not stop. He won't stop. He manages to Jay lets go of him, actually. Jay stops it. He doesn't get out of it, I don't think.
Yeah.
Jay goes and gets a chair, but Roman Reigns, Superman punch, and he gets that guillotine on Jay.
Yes.
So the move that managed to tap out Braun Strowman, while Braun passed out to it. He holds on for ages. It's a really long time, but Jay just won't. Jay's out of it. Jay obviously losing consciousness pretty much, and is completely out of it.
But every time the referee goes to him and asks him if he wants to quit, he still manages to get a no from somewhere.
As I point out, I've written here the ref needed better acting. The ref was rubbish.
He just kept being like, you just have to say I quit.
Yeah, the ref was far too loud and far too annoying.
Yeah.
the
Especially
ref
on the very quiet moments.
Yeah, the ref kind of took away from it. And once again, like at Clash Champions, the commentary just went silent.
Yes, exactly.
Which really added to this, really added to the importance of this. It was really just... It's brilliant stuff. After he won't quit, he tells the ref and he tells Paul Heyman to shut their mouths.
Yeah.
He takes Jay over to the apron. Reigns pauses for a minute. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know this is the right thing to do. He starts to get emotional. And then he goes for the drive-by to Jay. Hits the drive-by onto him. Reigns begs Jay to quit, begging him to stop. Starts punching down on him and then calling him selfish for not quitting. Goes and gets the stairs, puts them next to Uso's head, and then stops again, pauses, thinks about it. Drive-by to the stairs, to Jay. And then at that point, the ref is still trying to get him to quit, and Roman's getting angry that Jay won't quit.
Yeah.
So he grabs the referee, throws him over the top rope into the cage. It's quite a nice little
knocks him
toss.
unconscious.
Yeah. And then at this point, another referee comes in. They open the cage door, and all the agents and other referees come in, kind of trying to tell Roman this is too much.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be doing this. It's too much. You shouldn't be doing this. Roman goes and gets the stairs and holds them over the neck of Jay and just talks down to him and then picks them up like he's going to squash a watermelon, essentially.
Yes.
Where Jimmy runs in, goes on top of Jay and is going to Roman, look, this is Josh. It's not Jay.
Yeah,
it's not Jimmy.
Josh.
It's Josh. And I can't remember the other guy's name. Please don't do this. You don't need to do this.
Like with family and everything.
Reigns kind of breaks down. He goes down to the floor. He's crying.
He properly cries. Like I actually teared up a little bit when he was crying.
Yeah.
It was and then again, that was that the moment that like the refs just shut up.
It was a little bit before. It was when Jimmy kind of came in, a little bit after Jimmy came in. All the refs and agents all went to the outside.
Yeah.
And just stayed away. Jimmy puts his hand out to Roman. Roman takes his hand. But then Roman realises what's going on. He realises what he should be doing.
Yeah.
He puts in the guillotine on Jimmy Uso instead. Jimmy grabs Jay's hand, trying to get Jay to help him, trying to get Jay to do something to help him. Yeah, and Jay manages to wake himself back up, and he realises that he can't let Jimmy be put through this, and he quits. I thought this was perfect. This was brilliant.
Yeah.
It's really brilliant stuff.
So powerful. Such good acting throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, just the emotion. These two matches, like the storytelling and the emotion has just been brilliant.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Roman just selling it so well with him. Like he had tears on his eyes. Yeah. Like it is crazy.
Yeah. Like look at Roman 3 years ago. Well, 3 years ago, probably more so than 2. You couldn't really imagine him in this position, doing this kind of a match. And it was so, wrestling-wise, it was super simple.
Yes.
Super simple, but the story above everything else just wins out. It wins the day. Superb match. Roman, once the match is over, you see Roman's face is completely turned. Yeah. He's back to that fury and that anger and that rage inside him. You see it on his face.
Yeah.
Reigns says that he loves them. I love you. Then he leaves. You can see in his eyes, it's kind of not necessarily, it's not, He goes to the top of the ramp, and Afa and Sika come out, who are Roman's father and uncle. And they acknowledge Roman, give him the lei, and the chief speeds, and they acknowledge him as the tribal chief. And Roman stands in between them, holding his title aloft, and he is the head of the table. He is the chief. He's earned his place. He deserves it.
And then again, we pan to Jay and Jimmy, and they are just like in tears.
Yeah.
They're just in tears, being like, just thinking like our cousins just lost it.
And
so good.
Yeah, this or Sasha and Bayley, which we'll get to, both of them could have been the main event.
Yes.
both of them, either one of them probably should have been.
Should have been.
One of them should have been the first match, one of them should have been the main event.
Yeah.
The Drew-Randy match should have been somewhere in the middle, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Especially with just with how that match ended, it felt like there needed to be something else to make it the main event. It needed the cash in, it needs an appearance from Lesnar, it needed something. But sadly, because there wasn't, we'll get to it later. But yeah, so next up we get Elias versus Jeff Hardy, which was... It was fine. It was a cool down match after what just happened.
Yeah, I was so emotionally drained, and obviously it's quite late here in the UK, so I kind of was like falling in and out in sleep, like all the time because of how not dull, but it just wasn't.
Yeah, nothing special.
Yeah.
Nothing. It was a raw match. Elias comes out first with his guitar. I like his name. His nameplate is really cool with the little amp and then the
two guitar heads.
The two guitar heads coming out the side. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks.
It's always nice when someone has like a specialty nameplate like that.
Yeah.
Comes out, does a song about Jeff Hardy,
which was very offensive.
Yeah, continuing the stuff of playing on Jeff's history with alcoholism and DUIs and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. I wish they would stop. I wish they would stop.
Yeah, I've talked about this quite a lot. I just don't feel comfortable with them. Even if, like,
Even if Jeff's fine with it.
He's fine with it. It's still not fine.
I still find it to be awkward. It's not really cool.
Yeah, no.
In my opinion. Especially since Jeff comes out and he doesn't care.
Yes.
Like, Jeff just comes out and does his regular entrance. He doesn't... Elias has just said that Jeff equals DUI.
Yes.
Elias equals WWE, Jeff equals DUI, and Jeff comes out interrupting the song.
Interrupts the song. So we thought he was going to... Because we thought he was going to attack Elias because of what he had said, but no, he's just chilling with the song. He just does
his usual entrance, and then doesn't really have any fire during the match either, particularly.
Yeah, it doesn't have any follow-up to what Elias just said.
Yeah, it was really a raw match. Really was a raw match. Started off pretty back and forth, but Elias loses his bandana.
Yes, he kept trying to put it back in place, but he just lost it.
Heel turn from Jeff Hardy. Heel turn from Hardy, getting rid of the bandana.
Yes.
Elias starts being on Hardy, gets the advantage, locks in a chin lock for a bit, like far too long for a chin lock. Hardy then catches Elias with a kick, and he starts to try and get everyone excited. He claps himself along while he's lying on the floor for a second. He tries to do a move to Elias, but Elias managed to get him into a powerbomb. Whisper in the wind, twist of fate. He sets off with a swanton bomb. It looks like it's going to be a very easy victory for Jeff. But Elias rolls to the apron. Here it looks like, we're going to see a swanton bomb to the apron. That's going to be cool. But no, Elias rolls out the ring further. Jeff's like, come on, whatever. Jeff gets off the top rope, and Elias goes for his guitar. Goes to hit Hardy, but Hardy gets the guitar away from him. Looks at the guitar for a second, and then just smacks Elias for the DQ win for Elias. And then Hardy beats up the guitar for a bit. Yeah,
he just starts stomping on it. That's when I kind of woke up.
Yeah, this was nothing. And tomorrow night on Raw, we're going to see Elias and Jeff Hardy once again.
Yeah.
When Elias comes out to sell his album. And that's where Elias is going to stand properly too, because he has to sell his album.
Yes.
This was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Also, Jeff Hardy was limping for most of the match, which worried me.
Yeah.
He was limping from the beginning of the match. Maybe he has a slight injury or something, but this was very much nothing.
Yeah.
To be honest. We get an Otis promo backstage. Pretty generic stuff there, to be honest. I won't go through it. It's pretty generic. But we come back to Otis versus The Miz. Because I don't see Otis that much, because like we said, we don't usually watch the weekly shows. We kind of started watching them more so now.
Yeah.
So I kind of don't hear the music. To me, there was new music for Otis.
I thought it was a new music as well.
For me, it was new music. I thought it was all right. It wasn't too bad.
I did like it. It's better than most
ones
that
are
the now.
Heavy Machinery music, at least.
Yes.
For the Money in the Bank briefcase on the line, Otis versus The Miz. Otis getting off to a strong start, being the big boy in this match. The Miz, reverse, can try and outspeed Otis, but then Otis manages to catch The Miz between his legs and then just stands on his chest and then does a little jump and stomps on him. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch from Otis. That would be very painful. Morrison keeps trying to distract Otis and the referee, allowing The Miz to get the advantage. Morrison managed to take a cheap shot as well while The Miz distracts the referee, while Otis is in the ropes.
Yeah.
Tucky doesn't really do anything at this point. He doesn't really do anything to help or to hinder The Miz.
Yeah.
To be honest, he kind of just is there. The Miz manages to hit his DDT into the ground, and then Miz gets a sleeper on Otis. But he gets flipped over. Miz gets flipped over by Otis. And The Miz runs back with a brutal kick to Otis' head. It was a really nasty
Oh my
kick.
God, yeah, I forgot about that.
He really landed it on his face.
There was another one when he jumped off the ropes or something. Miz jumped off the ropes to Otis and punched him, or with the knee or something. And the noise they made, it was also really, really nasty.
Yeah, I don't remember that one, to be honest.
But yeah, no, it was a very strong one.
Brutal kick.
Yeah.
Miz goes to the it kicks, but Otis starts hulking up. He starts getting himself excited. He starts doing the pelvic thrusts, just wiggling around.
Every time Miz hits him, he moves from the position where he was hurting to dancing.
Yeah, he just... Well, you say dancing, he just pelvic thrusts. That was all it was just pelvic thrusting. Otis hulks up and he goes for his... He runs wild, brother. He goes for the caterpillar. He's about to go for the caterpillar. But John Morrison runs up onto the ropes with the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah.
About to hit Morrison over the head, but the ref this time sees it.
Woohoo!
The ref's like, no, damn it. Dang you, Morrison. You're out of here.
I always like when the referees do their jobs properly.
Yes, it's always nice to see. Otis gets a quick roll up on The Miz. Does he? I think Miz rolled up Otis, actually. I'm not sure. I just written Otis roll up. So there was a roll up.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the match, so it's fine. There was a roll up. Otis hits a discus clothesline, about to win the match, but Tucky turns on Otis. Tucky hits Otis in the head with the Money in the Bank briefcase. He turned on his best friend. And The Miz looks around like, what? Am I allowed to take this? Am I allowed to do this?
Whilst he was pinning him, he was just looking at Tucky, being like, what?
Yeah, Miz pins Otis, 1, 2, 3. And we have a new Mr. Money in the Bank. 10 years later, after his initial Money in the Bank briefcase run, The Miz is back with the briefcase. And it does feel like we've gone back to 2010 by the end of the night.
Tucky!
How good you, Tucky?
Oh.
But yeah, this match was fine.
Yeah, and because of the ending of it, it worked really well.
The ending and the swerve made this match. If it wasn't for that, it would have kind of been nothing. I kind of could tell Miz was going to win. Just because, Miz...
Even though you bet on it.
I know I did.
Yeah.
But, thinking about it afterwards and watching watching his promos on this show and on the pre-show... Well, mainly on the pre-show.
Yeah.
You can kind of just see the intensity with The Miz.
Yeah.
He kind of ups intensity like he was going to do something. Mm-hmm. And also, because when we found out that Orton and McIntyre were going to main event up before the show started, it was like, so clearly we're going to have a cash-in.
Yeah.
No. We have a promo backstage from Miz and Morrison, but the main thing here is the fact that Tucky comes back and he's asked why he turned on Otis. And Tucky was saying that he's always carried a load of the tag team. He did everything, but Otis was the one who got all the credit. It was always like, I'll go and get the hot tag into Otis so he can hit the worm.
Otis couldn't even tie his shoelaces by himself.
Yeah, and it was because of Tucky that Otis even had the courage to ask out Mandy. All this stuff, but Tucky was still the afterthought. Otis can't even function without Tucky. And then Otis comes to the back and they have a little brawl between the two of them. I thought Tucky had a good promo.
Yeah, he did.
He's a good promo.
It was actually very emotional and very intense about the reasons and everything, and they were very credible.
I liked his promo. I thought it was good. Otis comes out, doesn't care about The Miz anymore, which is good.
Yeah.
But the big issue is the fact that this is still a feud between two shows. Which means that Tucky and Otis are going to be appearing on Raw and SmackDown, which is not good. I know we're building up to Survivor Series. Pat's put them... But it seems like I was going to say Pat's put them both on the Survivor Series teams, but that seems such a waste of a place in those teams. I don't know. Maybe they'll have a pre-show match between Otis and Tucky.
I don't know.
I have no idea. We'll see. We will see. But we move forward now to the other best match of the show. Bayley versus Sasha Banks. We have the white versus the black. Good versus evil.
Yes.
We come out with Bayley coming out with her chair, but this time she's done a bit of drawing on the chair. She has drawn
Graffiti.
She's graffitied the chair. She's not just drawn it with a crayon. She has a 1-0 to symbolise the fact that Bayley has beaten Sasha once.
Yeah.
Ignoring all their other matches. But
yeah, exactly.
Recently, she's beat her once in this feud. And then on the other side, she has a big X for X marks the spot.
And she has role model written on the back of the chair.
Yes. She looked really great.
Yeah, she did.
Looked really great. Both of them did. The black versus white thing worked really well.
Yeah.
Before the cell even drops, Bayley goes for the chair shot with her special chair, but Sasha drop kicks it out and the chair ends up flying outside the cage. And Sasha very straight away goes straight after Bayley, starts pounding fists down on her, just keeps pounding on her. I guess the bank statement then very early as well.
Yes.
It was very early into the match. Bayley ends up biting her hand to be able to split it up.
Oh, was that what she did?
Yeah, she
I didn't see.
Yeah, at least that's what I heard from commentary.
Yeah, fair enough.
Bayley was pretty much starting to use the cell itself and trying to use weapons, trying to get the advantage over Sasha. But when Bayley tried to use the first kendo stick, Sasha grabbed it out of her hand and she threw it outside the cell.
Almost hitting the
yes, almost
commentary.
Hitting Michael Cole in the head. It was funny. It was funny. It didn't really make sense because straight after this, Sasha then they start using lots of weapons.
Yeah.
But I liked the idea of it. It just didn't necessarily work too well in the long term. But it was like a tiny thing. Tiny thing. Bayley goes to get another kendo stick and they end up fighting over that, but Sasha gets it. They start fighting over a table. Bayley gets that. No, Sasha gets the table out. Yes, Sasha gets the table out.
But then Bayley hits Sasha.
And they alter where the table is. So they have it up on Bayley's side and down on Sasha's side. And then they start pushing each other backwards and forwards. So Sasha would push Bayley into the cell wall with the table.
Yeah.
And then they did that 3 times. And then Sasha ends up hitting a Meteora, running up the table and hitting a Meteora to Bayley trapped in the corner.
So scary. It was really
great.
cool.
It looked really cool. Where are we here? And then Meteora to Bayley, and then Sasha goes and hits another Sasha hits another Meteora again to Bayley. They end up back in the ring. And Sasha ends up being pushed down to the outside again by Bayley towards where the table was. It was a bit scary for a second how Sasha landed.
It did.
It was a bit iffy. But she was clearly fine. She was just selling very well.
It was by the stairs, wasn't it?
It was by the table.
Oh, by the table.
Because she lands in between the table and the ring apron. It was a bit... but it was fine. She was absolutely fine. She was selling. She ends up on top of the table. And Bayley is about to smack the chair onto the table, and then Sasha manages to roll out of the way, gets underneath the table, pushes the table up into Bayley's face, and then uses the cell wall to be able to hit a Meteora on Bayley. It was a really cool sequence.
Such a cool sequence.
It was a very cool sequence. This I would say this and the Reigns match are the match to watch from tonight. If you only can watch 2, watch these 2. It's going to be better watching it than me explaining spots to you. Then she starts to go and get the kendo sticks around the ring and sets them up in the corner, connecting it between the cell and the stairs.
Yeah.
So putting in the holes of both of them and tries to put Bayley through them, but it doesn't work out, and Bayley ends up reversing and putting Sasha Banks through the kendo sticks. But the thing that looked more painful was the fact that it looked like Sasha's head just went bang on the corner of the stairs, which looked so much more painful.
I was very scared for a second.
Bayley puts in more kendo sticks in the same position and then bounces Sasha up into them from the floor. It's really nice stuff.
Really good use of weapons, I would say.
Yeah, lots of good use of weapons. Bayley keeps working over Sasha's neck at this point. It's kind of become the new target because obviously that's where Bayley injured Sasha before. They do a big sunset flip powerbomb into the cell from Sasha. Another brilliant sunset flip from Bayley in the ring into the chair in the corner. Hits a bank statement onto Bayley, but Bayley manages to pull Sasha over to the apron and manages to get her caught in between the ring skirting.
Yeah.
and then hits Sasha's head straight into the steel of the ring underneath, which just seemed brutal, and then gets the kendo, starts smacking down on the back of Sasha Banks. At which point Bayley decides to go over to the other side of the ring, get the sellotape out, get 2 kendo sticks, and then she goes to the ref. I'm too sweaty, can you help me?
She's trying to pull the tape, but she couldn't. So obviously she went to it with her mouth and she starts to pull out with the teeth, but she couldn't. So she just goes to the ref. Can you help me, please? And it goes like, no, of course I can help you.
Of course I can't. What are you talking about? Go away.
And so she like struggles a bit with it.
Takes her quite a while to do it.
She manages to do after a bit.
Yeah, she tapes these 2 kendo sticks together.
Very badly.
Yeah, it doesn't even stay. It like completely sags in the middle.
Yeah.
Puts it between the cell and the bottom of the ring. And then she clearly gets distracted by Michael Cole saying something.
Yeah.
And she manages to trip over the kendo stick. Oh, it's so funny. And that's literally all the kendo stick gets used for in the entire match.
Yeah.
They don't come back to it. I don't know why.
She was probably meant to use it for something else, but because it was so badly...
Yeah, it just didn't work out.
It was like in a V shape, like one of the sticks was like going down and the other
Yeah,
one
it
out.
Wouldn't have looked good at all, to be honest. So I'm glad they kind of didn't use it. But she does
It's just
this.
so funny.
She goes over to go where Banks is. Banks uses the fire extinguisher on Bayley. And Bayley is like, I can't see. Goes back over to the door of the cell, where, luckily for her, they've moved her chair right next to the cell door. So
she could just
she's
open
complaining
the
to
door
the ref, and she could open the door slightly. Obviously, it's chained up, but she should open it slightly, put her hand out, grab the chair, pulls her chair in, her special chair. But she gets her chair, but Sasha manages to get it herself and starts beating up on Bayley. And then Sasha gets a kendo stick and goes kendo crazy.
Oh, God, yeah.
And Sasha pauses in the corner. She's ready to do this. She's ready to take out Bayley, but she realises how much this means. The history between these two, being her best friend and what's been going on here. She pauses. Bayley crawls over to go for her chair. And Sasha Banks kicks down on her for a second to kind of make her not be able to get the chair. Then she goes up to the top rope to hit the frog splash. But Bayley manages to get her chair up onto her chest so that Sasha Banks, when she hits the frog splash, hits onto the chair, but it does hurt both of them. It doesn't necessarily help either of them.
They're both lying on the floor,
Yeah,
just like
they're both like
almost
dead
dead
at this point.
So many weapons and everything.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
they go and set up a ladder between 2 chairs in the corner. And Sasha and Bayley's about to hit Sasha with the chair onto this ladder, but Sasha manages to roll away, hits another Meteora. There was lots of Meteoras in this.
Yeah.
It was really cool because she managed to do it. So Bayley ended up in the corner by the ladder and the chairs, and then Sasha was in the other corner, used the ladder as the thing to give her the height for the Meteora.
Yeah,
it was really nice.
really
And then
cool.
she hits Bayley with a Bayley to belly onto the ladder itself. It wasn't necessarily the best Bayley to belly, but it still worked.
It still worked really well.
Yeah, it was really cool stuff. And then Bayley hits her own Bayley to belly after getting a running knee reversed onto Sasha, but Sasha Banks kicks out. Bayley uses her chair on Sasha and tries to do a Bayley to belly with the chair, but Sasha manages to reverse it, gets Bayley back in the position with the bank statement inside of the chair, and Bayley has to tap out. It's too much for her, and Sasha Banks keeping on pounding a Bayley while she was doing it.
For quite a while.
Yeah, really good match. Really good match.
Good. Really good use of weapons and everything. Everything that I love about a Love in the Cell. A Love in the Cell.
A Love in the Cell.
A Hell in the Cell match.
A Love in the Cell match. My goodness. Let's rename the pay-per-view. This is going to be the February pay-per-view now. It's going to be Love in a Cell.
Yes.
Instead of Elimination Chamber, Love in a Cell. But yeah, it's a really good match.
Yeah.
Just go and watch it. It's really long, but it doesn't feel long.
No,
it doesn't
not
feel
at
long at all. Like all of these matches were all the Hell in a Cell matches were really long.
Yeah.
But they didn't feel it. They didn't feel it at all. It's really good stuff in this one. Go back and watch it. And Sasha Banks finally has the SmackDown Women's Championship. Really good stuff. Really good.
So good.
And then we go backstage and we have the Hurt Business, MVP, Bobby Lashley, Cedric, and Shelton backstage talking about the match against Hurt Business. Of course, only one of them is dressed in their ring gear, so it's pretty clear who it's going to be, as MVP points out. He goes, yeah, it's going to be Lashley. Lashley's the best one. They kind of talk about who he's going to fight. Cedric's like, T-Bone? T-Bar? And then Shelton is like, the one with the silly mask. To which then Cedric and MVP do a little, like an and look at him like, that's all of them, brother. They didn't say that, but that's the look I did.
Yes.
And then he goes, Slapjack, that's who I want, Slapjack. And then MVP kind of replies to what Ali said earlier, that sure, they are about money, but they're not in the way that they're talking about, but they're also about pain, they're about dealing destruction.
Yeah.
Just like you are Retribution. He says that there will be no one in the corners, and it will be a US title match. For any member of Retribution is what they say.
Yeah, he said, because then Lashley turns and he goes like, actually, I'm going to make it even bigger stakes. On top of being a US title match, I'm going to face anyone from Retribution that decides to come out.
Yeah, which made us get very excited that maybe Ali was going to come out. Yeah. And because Ali is the only one who's going to get a victory over Bobby Lashley, let's be real. Even then, I don't.
Right now, I don't know.
Right now, who knows? Who knows? But it is Slapjack. Slapjack comes out for the match. Slapjack throws
We were excited for a bit, thinking that like Slapjack was just a decoy.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be a decoy.
Because he was just like on the side of the commentary, so we thought that like someone would come out and be on his place.
Yeah, we thought Ali or T-Bar, I guess, but probably Ali was going to come up from behind and jump Bobby Lashley, and then that would be the actual match.
But as soon as the bell rang, we were like, okay.
It was just Slapjack. Slapjack throws his shirt in the face of Bobby Lashley, and then Lashley starts to kill him.
Yes.
And kill him. Slapjack didn't look good.
No.
He looked really tired. It was only like a 2-minute long match, and he was really... I don't know whether it was the mask. It could be something to do with the mask and how it affects his breathing and sight.
It looks so uncomfortable to wear.
Yeah, it doesn't look fun to wear in the slightest.
It has paddings on the inside and stuff, but still those paddings don't look very comfortable at all.
No, and he had and we didn't talk about it on Raw, but like he ended up getting caught quite badly on Raw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like he kind of got knocked silly a little bit on Raw because of the mask. Yeah. So I think there's some issue with his mask. They should just take the masks off, to be honest. Yeah. Don't need masks. No. They look silly.
We know who they are in the first place, though.
But yeah, as you would expect, Hurt Lock, tap, 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 tap.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. As soon as the match is over, Retribution runs in and they attempt to attack Bobby Lashley. They set up for a double choke slam from Mace and T-Bar, but Lashley fights back, and you see Hurt Business is coming down. They're coming down to save, but Lashley beats them all up by himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Before Hurt Business are in the ring, Lashley's beating all of them up.
Lashley's actually done it already.
And then Ali's on the floor looking really scared, and then rolls out the ring. And Lashley and Ali have when they're leaving, they're staring each other down as Lashley and Ali. We are going to get this US title match at some point. But
it just made them look so bad.
They look dreadful.
Like Retribution, I mean.
Retribution.
Especially Ali was like the worst one because he was the one that stayed on the floor whilst Hurt Business were on the ring. Yeah. And he just like runs away because he was so scared. He looked so scared.
Yeah, and it's the same thing that happened with the Fiend. The same thing. It's just the same.
Yeah.
It's the same. And also no Fiend. Very strange.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about him again at the end of the main event.
Yes.
But it was very strange. No Fiend. I got excited for something else that could happen, but it didn't happen.
No.
So, we get a little promo package for the 30 years of The Undertaker at Survivor Series, which should be fun.
Yeah.
But the more interesting thing I would say is the fact that they still had... When they were showing the bottom screen bits, they still had the same thing as last year with the red, yellow, and blue. So potentially we are going to get Raw, SmackDown, and NXT again.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Because it was really good last year.
Yes.
I really liked it.
It worked really well last year. I hope they do it. I don't know whether it was just older. It's like placeholder stuff, maybe, because it does. I don't know whether they would necessarily want to, because that does mean mixing up the two COVID groups they have. Though they're
the two
safe.
Bubbles.
Yeah, their two bubbles get mixed up. Then I don't know if they want to do that in terms of risking any kind of cross contamination. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll just get maybe we won't get the 5-on-5-on-5s. Maybe we'll just get the triple threat matches. Yeah. We'll get the NXT versus the WWE versus the Universal.
What?
Why are you confused? NXT champion versus WWE champion versus Universal champion.
I see. Makes sense. Sorry.
We could still get that again, but I don't know if we'll necessarily... We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
We're probably going to have Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton again. for the 20th time. So we get to our main event here tonight, Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. Drew comes out first. I was very offended for a second that the champion came out first. But then Randy Orton sneak attacked him. He was pretending to be ring crew.
Well, that we, since the match started, we were doing predictions about what was going to happen at the end.
Yes, it felt like this match had to have something happen at the end.
For it to be the last, the main event.
For it to be bigger than Sasha and Bayley. For it to be bigger than Reigns and Uso. And I love Drew. Drew's amazing.
Yeah.
Not really the big fan of Orton, but Drew's great. And I'm not gonna say he doesn't deserve the spot.
Oh yeah, he does.
But I think on this occasion there were better people to take the main.
Yeah, unless they had
unless something big was going to happen.
Yeah,
which
we thought it was going to.
It felt like something big was going to happen.
Yeah,
and they kind of teased it by leaving the screens on for so long at the end, but then nothing happened.
Yeah.
Orton sneaks up on Drew McIntyre. He was dressed as ring crew, but Drew was ready for him. They brawl around the ringside. They take everything off the table. Orton tries to go for a backdrop on McIntyre through the table, but Drew's like, no. We're coming back to this later. They get back around the ring, and Drew throws Orton inside the ring and closes the door. And now the Hell in the Cell match truly starts.
Yeah.
On commentary, they say, this year we're going by the traditional rules for Hell in a Cell. No DQ, no countouts. And it's like, okay, so what were the last 2 years then? Were they, non-traditional rules? They were the new rules? I don't know.
Probably they were, because obviously there was
silly.
flipping not countouts, but DQs and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
Just silly.
Yeah,
Silly. McIntyre kind of completely owning Orton very early on in this match is very much Drew on top.
He's kind of learning how to use the cage and everything, just trying to get his head around on how to use the cell to hurt Orton the most.
Yeah. He gets some stairs, goes to go and throw them at Orton's head, but Orton managed to just move out of the way.
That was scary.
Drew gets him in the ring and he sets up for the Claymore kick, but Orton manages to catch his leg with a chair, and then this is kind of the turning point where Orton kind of starts working over Drew and working over his leg, but mainly working over the jaw of Drew McIntyre, because obviously that's what Randy Orton broke in the past with the punt kick, and so he keeps on working over that kind of stuff. Drew manages to reverse Orton when he's about to smash his head into the stairs. Drew manages to hit a Glasgow kiss headbutt on him, but Randy Orton gets a thumb to the eyes of Drew and then hits him into the stairs anyway. Pretty much this goes on for quite a while.
Yeah.
Nothing particularly too exciting in the ring, just what you typically expect from Orton and Drew.
Yeah.
Kind of the nicest. There's a really nice table spot where Drew suplexes him over top through the table, which is really nice. Drew McIntyre hits an RKO. That was cool. They just called it a neck breaker, but it was an RKO. He did hit an RKO. They didn't call it that though, which was nice. But Orton goes onto the ring and he goes and finds bolt cutters.
Yeah.
Obviously what Drew used on Raw to get inside the ring, Randy is now using to get outside the ring. Which Randy didn't seem to have... Obviously he did have a plan, but they didn't really sell it very well. It kind of just looked like Randy wanted to leave.
Yeah. And we thought that was the point that we thought, all right, something's going to happen right now. This is the good point. Now that they've opened the cell door.
We didn't think something was going to happen right then. We thought because they'd opened the door, it allows interference a lot easier.
So we thought Miz could come in. We thought...
Yeah, it allows someone more easily to come in post-match to do something without having to wait for the cage to be raised.
Exactly.
Orton tries to run away. Drew goes and no, you're not running away from me.
Exactly.
You're not running away from me, Orton. He beats him up for a bit, but Drew ends up getting caught and thrown into the cell. Orton looks up top. He looks to the top of the cage.
Yes.
And he goes...
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Climbs up top. Apparently, and obviously... This was his plan all along, but he didn't sell it in the slightest that this was his plan all along. He made it look like he'd just come up with this. Because when he gets to the top and Drew climbs up with him, he has a pipe saber up there, as I'm going to call it.
A random one.
Just randomly on top of the cage. So clearly, Orton had climbed up some point earlier tonight, placed the pipe on top of the cage, and then just hoped it would stay up there while the cage was going up and down, and that no one would notice. So yeah, Orton gets this pipe, but doesn't even get to use it once. Drew just completely reverses and then starts beating up on Orton. Orton manages to run away again and starts climbing down the other side of the cell. Drew follows in. They do a bit of a back and forth.
Punching, let's see who's going to fall first.
Yeah, punching, and Drew gets hit into the cage quite a bit.
Yeah.
He only has one hand left holding on, and Randy hits the hand off Drew, falls down onto the table, blood coming from his mouth.
It looked really good.
It looked, yeah,
and
it looked
scary.
Great. It looked really great.
I was worried for like a good minute because the blood that he had by his beard just looked like a piece of meat, like he had bitten his tongue or something.
Yeah, it did look a bit gross.
Exactly. But it was a really cool spot and it worked really well. I really liked it.
Especially with like these big guys to be doing it. Like Drew's massive.
Because we kept thinking who was going to go over the top of the cage. So we thought, if it's going to be like Lashley and...
Lashley?
Yes, if it was Cedric and Mustafa, the match between the Retribution and the Hurt Business, we thought that they could go up the ladder the cage.
No. Lashley's gone crazy. We didn't think that in the slides because that wasn't a cage match. There was no cage.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And I don't remember who it was, but someone on the cage match that we thought he could climb up there.
We talked, I will explain. Because after what happened on SmackDown with Jey Uso standing on the cage, we had the idea that Roman and Jey were going to go up the cage. So
it was nice, and we kept thinking no, they're just not going to use the holes that are very obviously
I assumed that the holes were they just been left there from the previous cages.
Yeah.
And I assumed it was going to be but yeah, as I was saying before about Drew being the big guy taking the spot, it's really nice because you compare it to like this same spot has been done by like Ambrose and Rollins did this spot back in the day in 2015, the exact same spot basically, which was a lot less impressive because they're smaller guys. It looked really impressive with Drew.
Yeah, no, it did. And scary and painful.
Yeah.
No, it was really good.
But Drew essentially crawls his way back to the ring. He takes a lot of time getting himself there. Yeah. They show lots of replays while this happens because it takes him so long to do it. He sells it really well, being really out of it.
Yeah.
Orton managed to roll him in the ring, but Drew gets himself back up, gets the backslide like he won with at SummerSlam. 1-2, only a 2 count. He managed to hit the Claymore, but Orton rolls out of the ring before Drew McIntyre can capitalise on the pin. Drew has to get outside and try and drag Orton back inside the ring. He manages to get him in.
Very dead.
Yeah, they're both super tired. Hard. It takes them ages to get them in. Drew sets up once more for the Claymore, but this time Orton ducks underneath the Claymore, hits the RKO, 1, 2, 3, and Orton is your new WWE champion. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. I don't really want to see him. I don't want to see Orton as champion.
I was just sad because I was like, they should have had like one of the other 2 matches as the end.
Yes.
Because of how good the endings were. Whilst this one, we were both like not disappointed, but then at the same time disappointed because we kept thinking that someone would come out and do something.
We thought something would happen. So clearly Sasha and Bayley should have been the main event.
Yes.
Like that was the happy go home moment. Exactly. It should have been the main event. Orton winning with nothing happening didn't work for me.
No.
Because we thought either The Miz was going to come in and cash in.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I
really thought that.
I do think Miz is going to cash in on Randy. I think it's going to happen.
We thought that, yeah.
Because they're gonna do what they did 10 years ago, which is Miz cashed in on Randy Orton. He won the championship.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do it again.
Probably. I mean, celebrating the
10-year. Well, it would be it was the week when it happened last time. It was the week after Survivor Series. I think was when the Miz cashed in. So we'll see if it happens again.
Then another expectation that I had was that for some reason, like the Miz would come in, like if Drew had been the winner of this match, that the Miz would come out and try and cash in on Drew, and Drew would end up on top and pinning the Miz, and then like Otis would be very upset at Miz because he stole the Money in the Bank for nothing. Yeah. And then another theory was about the
Fiend, because the fact that the Fiend has had when he was doing the stuff in the Firefly Funhouse on Raw, he did have the pole that Randy Orton used to exorcise the spirit of Sister Abigail. So I felt like we could have been going there.
Thought about
No, that was kind of it, really.
yeah.
But Randy and Drew, they stare down for ages, and the show doesn't end until it just does end. It just ends with them staring down.
Yeah.
Which means we're getting this again.
Yeah.
For the 5th time now.
Yeah, because Drew is very upset about it. Obviously, he is.
Well, yeah.
It just was.
But this is going to be the 5th time we have this match, which sucks. That's too much. And especially if they're going to end up dragging this out to WrestleMania and Edge.
Yeah.
I have no interest in seeing Randy Orton as champion until WrestleMania to have a rematch with Edge for the championship. I have no interest. I don't want to see it.
No.
Not in the slightest. But we'll have to wait and see where they're going. We'll find out tomorrow on Monday Night Raw. And that is where we will join you again. We will be here tomorrow night to review Monday Night Raw and the fallout of Hell in a Cell. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time.